Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Anne, and today we have a really fun episode for you. My guest today is William, a language teacher, a huge movie fan, and honestly, one of the best people I know when it comes to explaining things simply. Welcome, William.
Thank you so much, Anne. I'm really happy to be here. I've been looking forward to this one.
So, today we're talking about common phrases that people hear in movies. The lines that come up again and again in different films. The kind of thing you hear and think, I've heard that before, but what does it actually mean? Does that sound right?
Exactly. And this happens a lot, especially for people learning English, or even native speakers who just haven't thought about where these phrases come from. We say them, we understand the feeling, but we might not know the real meaning behind the words.
Perfect. So, let's just dive right in. I'm going to say a phrase, and William, you tell us what it means in simple terms. First one, and this one is classic. We need to talk.
Oh yes, four simple words that make every character in every movie suddenly look very nervous, and for good reason. When someone says, we need to talk, it almost always means that something serious is coming. It's not going to be a happy conversation. It usually means there is a problem, a secret, or some bad news. In real life, it works the same way. If your boss, your partner, or your parent says those four words to you, your heart usually drops a little.
Yes, it always feels like the calm before a storm. Okay, next one. This is used a lot in action movies, especially. I've got a bad feeling about this.
This one is great because it's so human. A bad feeling here means intuition, that inner sense that something is wrong, even when you can't explain it. The character is saying, my mind doesn't have proof, but something inside me is warning me. And in movies, they're almost always right. It's also interesting because this phrase appears in nearly every Star Wars film, which made it even more famous.
Right, it became almost a tradition in those films. Now, here's one that comes up in dramas and thrillers a lot. You just don't get it, do you?
This phrase is full of frustration. When a character says, you just don't get it, they mean you don't understand the situation, and maybe you never will. Get it is informal English for understand. The do you at the end makes it feel more like a challenge or a statement than a real question. The speaker is usually tired, angry, or disappointed that the other person can't see what they see.
It's interesting how much emotion you can pack into just a few words. Let's keep going. Here's one from almost every romantic movie ever made. It's not you, it's me.
Haha, the classic breakup line. This one is fascinating because it's usually not believed, even in movies. What the speaker is trying to say is, the end of our relationship is not your fault. I'm the problem. But over time, this phrase has become so overused that most people now hear it and think the opposite. It has become a kind of joke, a way of saying something politely that no one actually believes anymore. In language, we call that a cliché, a phrase that has lost its power because it's been said too many times.
A cliche, yes, and movies are full of them. Speaking of which, here's one that sounds very dramatic, but is actually very simple. This changes everything.
Right. When a character says, this changes everything, they mean that one piece of information, or one event, has completely turned their world upside down. Before this moment, they thought they understood their situation. Now, they have to rethink everything. It's a phrase that marks a turning point. In storytelling, we call that a plot twist, the moment when everything you thought you knew is suddenly different.
Great explanation. Now, let's talk about some phrases that seem simple on the surface, but actually carry a lot of meaning. Here's one. I was just following orders.
This is a very loaded phrase, meaning it carries a lot of history and meaning behind it. On the surface, it sounds like a simple excuse. Someone is saying, I didn't make this decision myself, I was told to do it. But in movies and in real history, this phrase often appears when a character has done something wrong or harmful and is trying to avoid responsibility. It raises a big question. Does following an order make you innocent? Most audiences don't think so, which is why this line usually makes the character seem weak or even cowardly.
That's a phrase with a really heavy background. Very different from our next one, which is much lighter. You had me at hello.
Ah, the classic romantic commitment line. This one is from the film Jerry Maguire, and it became one of the most famous movie lines of all time. What it means is, from the very first moment, from the first word you said, I was already in love with you. You didn't need to do or say anything special. Just hearing hello was enough. It's a very romantic way of saying someone fell in love immediately without needing to be convinced.
So beautiful and so simple at the same time. That's the power of a great line. How about this one? It comes up a lot in detective and mystery films. Nothing is what it seems.
Yes, a perfect phrase for mystery stories. Nothing is what it seems is a warning. It's telling the audience and the characters that appearances are deceiving. What you see on the outside is not the truth. There are hidden things, secrets, and lies underneath the surface. It builds suspense because it makes you question everything. You can't trust what your eyes tell you. It's also used a lot in science fiction and horror for the same reason.
That phrase always sends a little chill down your spine. Now, here's one that's a bit more everyday. You hear it in comedies and dramas alike. It's not a big deal.
This one is interesting because of when and how it's used. Literally, it's not a big deal means this situation is not very important or serious. But in movies and in real life, it's often used by someone who is trying to hide that something actually is a big deal to them. It can be a form of self-protection, or it can be used by one character to dismiss another character's feelings. When someone says it's not a big deal and the other person looks hurt, the audience usually understands immediately that it actually is a very big deal.
The gap between what people say and what they mean, that's something movies love to explore. Okay, let's do a few more. Here's one that appears in pretty much every heist or action film. We're running out of time.
Running out is a phrasal verb in English, meaning to reach the end of your supply of something. You can run out of money, run out of ideas, or run out of patience. Here it means the clock is ticking and there's very little time left to act. In action movies, this creates immediate tension. Everything speeds up. The characters must make quick decisions. It's a phrase designed to make your heart beat faster.
You can almost hear the ticking clock when you say it. How about this one? It's short, but very powerful. Trust me.
Ah, trust me. Two small words with so much behind them. When a character says, trust me, they are asking the other person to believe in them without being given a full explanation. They're saying, I know something you don't, and I'm asking you to have faith in me. Anyway, in real life, we say, trust me when we are confident. But here's the funny thing. In movies, when a character says, trust me, the audience often immediately wonders whether they should. It's a phrase that can make a character seem either very reliable or very suspicious, depending on the context.
Context is everything, isn't it? Let's do one more dramatic one before we move to our last group. This one is from countless action and survival films. Leave no one behind.
This phrase comes from military culture originally. Leave no one behind is a code, a promise that a group makes to each other. It means we will not abandon any member of our group, no matter what. Even if it is dangerous, even if it costs us time, we will go back for everyone. In movies, this phrase is usually said at a very emotional moment, often when someone wants to give up on a missing team member. It's about loyalty and honor. It tells us a lot about who the character is and what they value.
I love how these phrases reveal character. Okay, last few. Let's end on some that people use in everyday conversations too, not just in big dramatic movie moments. Here's one. I didn't sign up for this.
Perfect one to end on, actually. I didn't sign up for this uses the expression sign up, which means to officially agree or volunteer for something. So when someone says, I didn't sign up for this, they mean I never agreed to deal with this situation. This was not part of the plan. It usually comes from a character who feels overwhelmed, surprised, or unfairly put in a difficult position. It's a complaint and a protest at the same time. You'll hear it in comedies when things go hilariously wrong, and in dramas when a character feels the weight of a situation they didn't choose.
Honestly, it's something I say in my own life sometimes. One more, William, and let's make it a good one. Everything happens for a reason.
Oh, this is a beautiful one to finish with. Everything happens for a reason is a phrase of comfort and philosophy. It means that no event in life is truly random or accidental, that even painful or confusing things have a purpose, even if we can't see it yet. In movies, it's usually said by a wise older character, or by someone who has been through something very hard and found a way to make peace with it. It's meant to give hope. It says, even this, even the bad thing, is part of something bigger. Whether or not it's literally true, it helps people feel that life has meaning and direction.
That's a wonderful note to end on. William, this has been such an enjoyable conversation. You have a real gift for making language feel accessible and alive. Before we go, any final thoughts for our listeners who want to understand English better through movies?
Yes, my advice is simple. Don't just listen to what characters say, think about why they say it. The meaning of a phrase in English is not always just the words, it's the moment, the emotion, and the relationship between the people speaking. Movies give you all of that at once, so watch actively, pause when you hear something interesting, and ask yourself, what did that really mean? You'll be surprised how much your understanding grows. And if you're ever confused, well, that's what podcasts like this one are for.
I love that. Watch actively. Such simple, practical advice. William, thank you so much for being here today. It was a genuine pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you, Anne. It was a wonderful time. I hope everyone listening learned something new or at least saw a familiar phrase in a brand new way.
And thank you to everyone listening. If you enjoyed today's episode, please share it with a friend who loves movies or is learning English, or both. We'll be back next week with another great conversation. Until then, take care, keep watching great films, and we'll see you next time.